Hello everyone, I Kuldeep Sharma welcome you all to today's daily news analysis where we are going to look at the most important news headlines from the Hindu newspaper as well as the Indian Express. So let's look at the news from today. So the first news, which I think is a very important news for our CLAT paper, is that it has recently been reported that out of the top 10 trading partners of India, the countries with which we have the most amount of trade, we have a trade deficit with 9 of them. So let's understand. First, let's look at some of the trade data which has been provided to us in this particular news item. So most of you must be aware of these facts also, that recently which country has become the largest trade partner of India. So now it is China, and it is special because first you should understand that there is a difference between a trade partner and a export and import partner, largest one. So when I say trade partner, our largest trade partner, I am talking about both export plus imports. So with China has become our largest trade partner this year only, in this financial year of 23-24. China has become it, and it is special because the total trade between these two countries is around $118 between $118 billion between India and China. However, the bad news for India is that out of this $118 billion of total trade, around 100 billion, more than $100 billion trade is actually a import of India, and only just exports. India just exports $18 billion worth of items to China, which means we have a very much trade deficit with China. What is trade surplus and what is trade deficit? So when you have exports, when your exports are more than imports, it is known as trade surplus, which means you are getting some extra money out of this particular trade. However, if your import is more than export, then either you have to borrow something or you have to give up something else, some other value addition you need to provide, because your import is more, you are buying something more and you are selling very less. So that is trade deficit. So one question which can come to your mind is trade deficit always bad? So one answer would be that it is not bad every time. For example, let's take case of China and India. China also imports a lot. However, if you will look at the China's list of imports, you will find out that most of the things which it imports from other countries are raw materials. It is raw materials. Similarly, India also imports a lot of raw materials like your crude oil, which is again a raw material. So if you are actually importing raw material, and by importing raw material, if you can finish it, you can complete it into a finished product and then export it, then it would be a win-win situation for you. For why? So when you are actually importing raw materials from some other country, you are actually not using your own raw materials. So in future, your raw materials are actually secure. At the same time, you are creating a market for a third country or that country itself by using their own raw materials. So this is one of the reasons why China is in a very positive situation when it comes to trade, because it is importing very much raw materials from other country. However, it is also finishing those products, converting it into finished product, and then selling it to the second country, that country itself, or to a third country. So a trade deficit could be beneficial for a country, provided that trade deficit, that import is for raw materials. Next, which is the most exported product from India? So first, let's look at what is the most important imported product. So it is crude oil. It is crude oil, and I hope you know that in terms of crude oil, for the last 1 year, the largest exporting country for India in terms of crude oil is actually now Russia. Since the Russia-Ukraine war, because there was discount on Russian oil, the Russian oil was coming up cheaper into India, coming cheaper into India. Because of this, our imports of Russian oil increased. That's why in terms of crude oil, it has become the largest partner. And crude oil is the most imported product, again a raw material. And which is the most exported product? So it is actually refined products, refinery products or refined products. So you can see, if I am importing my crude oil or raw material and then I'm converting it into a finished product and then selling it to second or third country, then that trade deficit is not that harmless. However, it is only half picture because India is also a big consumer of crude oil. So we have domestic consumption of crude oil also. That means that not all of the crude oil which we are importing is not being totally exported out of the country. So it is only half picture. However, you can see the most number of product, the maximum exported product from India is actually refinery product, and we usually sell it to countries like US, China, etc. See, another interesting thing you will find here is that when I say most exported product in terms of refinery product all over the world, it is the USA. It is USA which leads in exporting of refinery product, and still it buys refinery products from other countries because its own internal consumption is very high. And in terms of Asia, the largest refinery product exporter is again China only. So China exports, China does a lot of refinery of the petroleum products, and it's also a consumer also. And at second place, it is India. So I'll repeat what I've just stated, that in terms of refinery products, when I look at the countries all over the world, the most number of export of refinery product is done by the country of USA. And when I talk about Asia only, the most export of refinery products by China, and at second it is India. Okay, so this was some facts from this particular news headline. So wait for the 20 GK question also, because some very good questions have also been framed from this particular news headline. So moving on to the next news. So next news is regarding the Mulla Periyar Dam. So we have done it earlier also, so it would be a revision for most of you. But let's look at certain facts again. So you have again an idea, a revision for you all. So Mulla Periyar Dam is a type of a gravity dam. So what is a gravity dam? So when you use the earth material, or you create a wall using concrete, etc., and that particular wall is the resistance which is given by that wall is the main line of defense between the water and the rest of the area. That is an example of a gravity dam. So where is this Mulla Periyar Dam located? So it is located on Periyar River. Periyar River ke upar hai ye, in Idukki district, which is a district in Kerala. And we have already discussed it in detail earlier. However, let's revise it in very short. So this Mulla Periyar Dam is an interesting dam because it is a disputed dam between Kerala and Tamil Nadu. And why it is a dispute? Because although it is located in Kerala, in the state of Kerala, however, it is maintained and operated by Tamil Nadu. And most of the water which flows from this dam is actually used by the Tamil Nadu farmers only. So because Tamil Nadu is the beneficiary state, it has been maintaining and operating this dam for since independence, before independence also. And it is disputed because Kerala has problem with the maximum limit of water, maximum limit of capacity this particular dam can have. So the Supreme Court, and as per different committees, the maximum height with which the water can be kept in this dam is 142 feet. However, the problem the Kerala has is that there have been certain reports also that maintaining this at this site is very dangerous for the population living nearby. And even your United Nations has in one of its report has pointed out that Mulla Periyar dam should be discontinued. We should end this dam because it has become a very old dam and it is very unsafe. It is now unsafe. So there is even a UN report which has asked for discontinuation of the Mulla Periyar Dam. So that's why this Mulla Periyar Dam is important for us. Let's move on to the next news. So some interesting thing has happened in your armed forces. So the current your army chief Manoj Pandey has gotten an extension by a month. So usually it is a very rare phenomena. For example, it is only just the second time. It is just the second time when there has been an extension being provided to an army chief. So let's look at some facts which can be asked in your exam. So right now, Army Chief Manoj Pandey is the current army chief, and probably next month, after a month, we are going to have the next army chief. So currently, the next one would be Upendra Dwivedi. Upendra Dwivedi would probably become the next of your army chief. Next, who is your naval chief? So Dinesh Kumar Tripathi just replaced R. Hari Kumar, and he was just appointed on 30th April. So it's a very new appointee. Third is your Air Force Chief. So Vivek Ram Chaudhary or VR Chaudhary is your current AR Chief. And finally, new office which was created in 2021 only, Chief of Defence Staff. So currently it is Anil Chauhan, your first Chief of Defence Staff. You have to mention in the comment box. Mention the name of the first Chief of Defence Staff in the comment box. Next, what is the tenure? What is the tenure of these armed forces? So all of the 4 people have the same tenure in terms of years. However, the age for CDS and for the rest of 3, the retirement age is different for this. And why we are studying tenure? Because there has been an extension of tenure of the army chief right now. So the tenure for the 3 armed chiefs, armed forces chiefs के लिए, armed forces chief, the retirement age is 62 years or 3 years of tenure. 3 years of tenure. So he was about to retire at age 62. However, he has been given an extension of a 1 month. Probably it might be also because of election, because there might not be time. There might not be time to appoint another army chief right now. However, when I talk about CDS, the tenure, how many years he is going to be in office? It is 3 years still. The 3 years is the same for all. However, the age is 65 years. So one can be a CDS Chief of Defence Staff up to the age of 65 years. So that is the tenure limit. So next question would be, who appoints the army chief? So remember, who is the supreme commander? Who is the supreme commander of armed forces? So earlier, before we made the current supreme commander, who is the current supreme commander? It is the president. President is considered as a supreme commander. He is the head of the 3 armed forces. So before we made president as a supreme commander, there was another post known as field marshal. Many of you may know this post now, because yes, last year there was a particular movie on our first field marshal. First field marshal, and I hope you know his name. His name is same Manekshaw. And the next question which I would like you to mention in the comment, try to answer it in comment. Who was the second field marshal? Who was the second field marshal of India? And if you can find out any other detail regarding this field marshal, you can mention it in the comment box. So you have to mention who was the second field marshal after Shem Manekshaw. So who appoints the armed chiefs and the CDS? So it is your supreme commander. The president appoints the 3 armed forces chief as well as your CDS, and the president appoints it on the recommendation of appointment committee of the cabinet, and most of the time the appointment committee of the cabinet, most of the time it is always headed by the prime minister, and the rest of the cabinet ministers. So these are the most important ministers among your council of ministers. For example, your defense minister is part of the cabinet ministry, your finance minister is part of the cabinet ministry, and various other ministers can also be made part of your cabinet ministry. However, finance minister and your ministry of commerce and your defense minister, health minister, etc. are actually part of the cabinet. Okay, so basically these are the people who are responsible for appointment or for recommending the appointment of the next army chief, navy chief, air force chief, as well as the CDS. Moving on, so a very good news for India, because one of the Indian has received the second most prestigious award at the Cannes Film Festival. So Cannes Film Festival comes up in news a lot because many of the Indian movies go and get a representation there, and even many of our Indian movies has received an award earlier also. So let's look at certain facts about your Cannes Film Festival. So Cannes Film Festival derived its name from the place where it is held, which is Cannes, which is a city in France. When it was founded, so it was founded in the year 1946. So for the first time, the Cannes Film Festival took place in the year 1946. Next, which is the best film award? So the most prestigious award which is given in Cannes Film Festival is actually the Palme d'Or. Palme d'Or is the most prestigious award. And what is special about Grand Prix? So it is the second most prestigious award. It is like It is like an award given to the runner-up film. Runner-up film. So best film award gets a Palme d'Or, then second best film award gets a Grand Prix award. And why it has come up in news? Because Payal Kapadia, who is a director of movies, she has won the Grand Prix award, and it is for the first time that an Indian has won the Grand Prix award, and the name of the movie is All We Imagine Is Light. So in your exam there can be a question, who has won the Grand Prix award? Which Indian has become the first Indian to win the Grand Prix award at the Cannes Film Festival? So you should know the name Payal Kapadia, and he or she or the examiner can also ask you, Payal Kapadia won the Cannes Film Festival Grand Prix award for which particular film? So you should know the name of that movie also. So these are some relevant facts from this particular news. Moving on. So from the editorial section, so there is a particular scheme which is being talked about. So it is usually whenever a scheme, I've observed it, whenever a scheme comes up on the editorial, it is usually a critical analysis. It is a critical analysis of the scheme. What are the shortcomings? Critical analysis basically means what are the shortcomings of the scheme, and certain recommendations are given how you can improve the scheme. So similarly, there is a particular scheme, PM Janman scheme, and this particular article is a critical analysis of this particular scheme. So let's look at some of the facts which are important for us. So first is, who are PVTGs? So the scheme which we are talking about, or the scheme which this article is talking about, is a scheme for PVTGs. And who are PVTGs? These are known as particularly vulnerable tribal groups. So I hope you are aware that there is a categorization in your constitution also for scheduled tribes. Who are scheduled tribes? So scheduled tribes are considered some of the most backward forest dwelling. So usually most of the scheduled tribes have become part of the mainstream. However, most of the scheduled tribes, when they were made part of this particular scheme, were actually forest dwelling, living in the forest, living through the forest. So most backward forest dwelling tribes. So these are the scheduled tribes, and in the constitution and in your legal provisions also, reservation policy is actually extended to them. Reservation policy is actually extended to them. However, the government has felt time and again said there are certain other tribes or certain tribes which are part of scheduled tribes which are more vulnerable because they are still very much backward. So certain more protection or certain schemes which are specifically targeting these particular tribal groups is being made by the government. So as of now, what is the number of PVTGs in India? So a direct question can come up. How many PVTGs are in India? So answer is 75 PVTGs. So there are 75 PVTGs. Next, what scheme has the government started? So I just told you, because they are particularly vulnerable tribal groups, so a specific scheme has been announced by the government to tackle this only. So PM Janman scheme is that scheme. What is the full form of the scheme? So PM Janjati Adivasi Nyay Maha Abhiyan. So always remember, whenever there is a scheme which has come up in your news, and if it has gained prominence, then that particular scheme becomes important for you. And one thing which you should know is the full form of that scheme. It is very important that you know the full form of the scheme, because many a time a question can directly be regarding the full form of the scheme. And what is the objective? What are the objective of this Janman scheme? So it is to provide essential services, governance services. Whatever services should be provided by the government to the people is actually specifically provided to PVTGs. What we are looking at, so we are looking at their housing requirement, because most of the people live in forest areas and they usually have kacha houses. So that's why a pakka house, housing with a toilet installed in it, should be provided to them. That is a part of the scheme. Second is providing clean drinking water to those people, because they live in forest areas, so they usually drink water which is available there only. Third is providing them with sanitation. So I've already explained, in your housing, if you are providing them housing, there should be attached toilet also. And finally, their financial inclusion. For example, providing them with a bank account, getting them a bank account, a Aadhaar card, a bank card, a bank account, a Aadhaar card, and if possible a ration card, so that they are able to have benefit out of the scheme which have been launched by the government. So if you will read the article, this particular scheme has been criticized. What have been the shortcomings? For example, here is a shortcoming that there has been a data mismatch regarding the number of people who are eligible for this scheme and number of people who have been left out of the scheme. Okay, so this article is regarding that. Moving on, pushing Hamas. So again, you must know that the Israel-Hamas war is still going on, and a recent update in this is that the ICJ, your International Court of Justice, also known as your World Court, this is known as World Court also, as well as your United Nations Court. And what kind of cases go to the ICJ? So it is usually the cases which are by one state against another. A state files a case against another state whenever there is violation of international law. Whenever there is a violation of international law. And in case of Israel, a case has been filed by South Africa. A case was filed by South Africa against the state of Israel, and this particular case is for violation of UN Convention on Genocide. UN Genocide Convention. It is being alleged by South Africa that Israel is committing genocide in Palestine. So that's why it is in violation of the international law, for specifically the UN Convention on Genocide, and a verdict has been provided by the International Court of Justice, and the verdict is that Israel should immediately stop the war. So this is the current ruling order being passed by the International Court of Justice, because the ICJ has not directly claimed that whether Israel is involved in genocide. However, the ICJ has recommended that to send a fact-finding commission, it is required that Israel immediately stop the war so that people can go there and cross-check them for themselves. Now, the one question which is very important, legally very important for you all, is what is the status of ICJ ruling? Whether they are binding or non-binding? So the answer is they are actually binding. So ICJ ruling are binding. However, the problem with ICJ is there is no implementation mechanism. For example, just think of Indian court system. Let's say you go to a particular district court, and that district court has convicted you for a certain crime. Let's say a 3-year punishment has been given. Unless you have the police with you, or the state is ready, state machinery can be police, CBI, anyone, jail authorities. If the state machinery is not ready to provide you with the wherewith, your tools to punish that particular person, the courts is of no use. The court would have no remedy against him. Same is the case with ICJ. So the ICJ ruling, as per the ICJ statute, which is part of your UN Charter only, is part of the United Nations only, therein the rulings of ICJ are actually binding. However, there is no implementation mechanism on how to implement them. So that is one of the problem in the present case. One update which you want, one thing which we should again revise is, when did Israel-Hamas war start? So I think I must be telling you this particular date for 50th time maybe. So it started on October 7, 2023. And is still continuing as of now. When this war started, around 1,200 people actually were killed by Hamas in Israel, and around 250 hostages were taken up. It is still believed that 120 hostages are still with Hamas. Most probably, most of them must have died or must have been killed by Hamas militant as of now. Okay, so that is the update regarding the Israel-Hamas war. Moving on to the next one. So from your text and context section of the Hindu, and most of the news which we are covering from the Hindu section, from the Hindu newspaper, are actually being repeated in the Indian Express also. So that's why I've just covered the Hindu newspaper. You can actually cross check. Most of the news which you will find in Hindu newspaper are there in your Indian Express also. So what is this? Europe has come up with the AI convention. So what is this AI convention? So AI convention, first of all, important thing is that it is a binding agreement. Binding agreement. And what does it talks about? It's a comprehensive convention covering AI governance and links it to human rights, democracy, and responsible use of AI. What do you mean by this? Basically, it says that if any country who is part of this particular grouping is involved in AI development, if he is involved in AI development, it has to be responsible for rule of law, that law should not be breached. For example, your privacy should not be breached. Similarly, there should be a response to human right. Human rights should also be given due regards. Human rights of person should not be violated. Again, an example would be privacy. Or let's say later on you can use AI to do action also. You have created robots, which is a AI robot, and he can do action also. So human rights of a person should not be violated in that case. And similarly, responsible use of AI. So AI should be used for the benefit of humanity. It should be used for benefit of humanity. So this is the objective of AI convention. However, more important for us is which organization has actually adopted this AI convention. So the organization is Council of Europe. One thing you should understand is that it is not EU. European Union is a different body. Council of Europe is a different body. There is no relation between two. The only relation being that both of these organizations are actually in Europe only. That is the only connection between them. Otherwise, Council of Europe and your EU are totally different. These are two different bodies. So first thing first, so it is an intergovernmental organization consisting of 46 members. So there are 46 member countries who are the members of this Council of Europe, and it was founded in the year 1949. So it's a very old organization as compared to European Union, which right now has 27 members. Earlier, Britain or United Kingdom was part of it. Then it had 28 members. Right now, it has 27 members, and it was created very, very new. So it was just created in the year 1993 as compared to Council of Europe, which is a grouping of 46 members, and it's an intergovernmental organization different from European Union. Council of Europe is more concerned with human right protection. Human right protection in Europe. On the other hand, European Union has a more broader functionality. So it is not just interested in human rights protection, but it is also interested in economics of the country as well as politics of the nation. So it has a very broad scale of European Union is very broad as compared to Council of Europe, which is a different organization. Let's move on to the next one. So what is the current status with respect to spice exports? So we have done it earlier also. So if you have been reading newspaper daily, you will find out that most of the news get repeated. That's why if you read your newspaper regularly, your time automatically get reduced. I'm telling you this because many students come up with this particular question: how to decrease our reading time of our newspaper. So it will happen gradually, but what you have to do is to regularly read the newspaper. So let's look at again the important facts. So why this news has come up? Because Hong Kong and Singapore had banned MDH in Everest spices, MDH masale, such, and Everest. All those spices from these two brands were actually banned by Hong Kong and Singapore, and the main reason given was that there was presence of ethylene oxide, which is a fumigant, and some people believe that it is for aromatic powers to give smell to it. However, it's an antimicrobial spray. It's an antimicrobial spray. Next, what is the new limit? So because there have been certain controversy, FSSAI, which is the food regulator of India, has come up with a new limit for pesticide residue in your spices. And what India has done is, or FSSAI done is, it has actually increased the pesticide residue limit. So earlier it was 0.01 milligram per kg, and now the new limit is 0.1 gram per kg. So this is the new limit. This is the new limit. So this is the current status of spice exports. Moving on, so it's just a one-liner because Deepa Karmakar has become the first Indian gymnast. She has become the first Indian gymnast to win gold in Asian Senior Championship, not the Asian Seniorship. So there is a Asian Championship for gymnasts, which is for all the age groups, and there is a Senior Championship, which is for people of a certain age. So she has become the first Indian gymnast to win gold. So win gold in Asian Senior Championship. It's only a one-liner because from sports section, a one-liner can come up in your exam. Moving on from the Indian Express. So again, apart from the ICJ ruling against the state of Israel, there is again a case. The prosecutor there, the International Criminal Court's prosecutor, has asked for permission to prosecute the president of Israel, the defense minister of Israel, as well as the leader of your Hamas organization. So that's why this particular article has come up. So we have done all of these facts earlier also, because ICC has been in news a lot for the last 7 days. So earlier also it has been covered. So again, a revision of this only. So what is ICC? So ICC stands for your International Cricket Council. Here it means International Criminal Court, not International Cricket Council, which is the main body for regulation of cricket all over the world. So here we are talking about International Criminal Court or ICC Court. Its origin is from the year 1998 and it was created by Rome Statute. So remember that this statute, this is important. It was created under Rome Statute. However, it became functional from 1st July 2002. So although it was founded in the year 1998, it started functioning only from 1st July 2022. So if a question comes up regarding formation year, then the answer would be this, not 1998. If the question come up when this Rome Statute came into existence, then the answer would be 1998. Where is the headquarter? So the headquarter of ICJ as well as of ICC is both in The Hague in Netherlands. How many members are there? So there are 124 members. However, the important point for you is India a member of it? So answer is no. India is not a member of it. Which other major countries are not members of it? So the countries which are not members of it are US, Russia, China and Israel. Israel not being a member is important for us. This question can also come up directly in your exam because there is a case going on in ICC with regard to Israel. What is the composition? So there are 18 judges and they all have a 9-year term in the ICC court. What is the jurisdiction? So usually, if you remember, we just discussed that in ICJ, a state files a case against a state. However, in this particular case, a case can be filed against an individual. Usually he might be army general, might be members of the army. A whole army can also be punished by ICC if they commit certain kinds of crime. For example, if they have alleged to committed genocide, if they have committed crime against humanity, war crimes or crimes of aggression. So these are the 4 categories of crime in which there is jurisdiction to ICC. So in which country ICC has a binding power? So country where offense is committed or perpetrator country is member of ICC. So either where the crime has been committed is the member. For example, if right now Israel-Palestine war is going on or Israel-Hamas war is going on, and interestingly Palestine is a member of ICC, which means if any crime is committed in Palestine, and I hope you know that Gaza is the territory of Palestine area only. If any crime is committed in Gaza, then because the crime has been committed in Gaza, although by a non-member, the ICC would have jurisdiction against Israel also. So either that country or the perpetrator country. Let's say, for example, how come Hamas members are also under jurisdiction of this particular of ICC? The reason is because the perpetrator country, the Hamas people belong to Palestine only, and the perpetrator country is a member of ICC. So that's how both Israel and Palestine are under the jurisdiction of ICC. Now, importantly, there is a cutoff date. So only offenses. So if these offenses have taken place after 1st July 2002, after the formation date, then only the jurisdiction of ICC is extended to them. ICC gets jurisdiction only if the crimes are committed after this particular date. So if a crime is committed as last as on 30th June 2002, when it was not found, then the ICC would not have any jurisdiction. And finally, are they decision binding? So answer is yes, they are binding on member states. So let's say Israel Israel's President Benjamin Netanyahu is found guilty by ICC. He is found guilty by ICC, and let's say he is traveling to United Kingdom or let's say Germany, who are members of ICC. So if Benjamin Netanyahu visits UK or Germany, as per the Rome Statute, these countries are bound to send this person or to deposit this person or to send this person to ICC to be held for trial, so that there can be a personal trial of this particular person, because the member states are bound to follow this particular judgments. So finally, last news is regarding IPL. So usually sports news do not come up. However, it is we can't be totally 100% sure that a question from sports may not come. So for example, if let's say there is a particular sporting event, like this year there's going to be Paris Olympics, so there is a very high probability that a question from Summer Olympics can come up in your exam. Similarly, IPL has happened, and if I can frame 5 good questions from IPL, even a question from IPL also can come up in your exam. So let's look at very simple facts, certain facts regarding IPL. So when was the inaugural IPL took place? So it took place in the year 2008, and it took place in India. The next season actually took place in South Africa. That is not important for us. However, certain good questions which can be framed from IPL 2024, although I've also framed these same questions for your 20 GK questions, because 5-6 questions can come up from IPL also. So IPL 2024, who is the winner? So you can see from the photograph also, Shah Rukh Khan's team, SRK's team, Kolkata Knight Rider has won the IPL 2024 trophy by defeating Sunrisers Hyderabad. KKR has come up on the top. Who was the player of the match or player of the final? So it was KKR's bowler Mitchell Starc. Next important thing can be, who was adjudged the most valuable player of the IPL 2024 season? So it was Sunil Narine. Next question can be, who has been given the orange cap? So this would be the last thing I'll teach you today. Let's first know who has won the purple cap. So it is Harshal Patel. Harshal Patel has won the purple cap for taking the most number of wickets, and the orange cap was won by our previous captain of India, Virat Kohli. I'm sure most of you must be fan of Virat Kohli's batting. So he has actually won the orange cap, which is given to the player who has scored the most number of runs in the IPL. So student, that's it from today's news analysis. I hope to see you in the next class with a new set of news from tomorrow's newspaper. Thank you and have a very nice day from my side.